podcast where best friends and next-door neighbors, Willow and Lillian, spill the tea on murder, mysteries, and other things that go bump in the night. So get your favorite teacup ready, and let's get into it. Welcome to Cruelty Podcast. This is Lillian, and with me is Willow.
Hello.
Hello, and if you hear a white noise sound in the background, that's a fan, because I can't cope with this heat. It was over 100 degrees here today, and it's just like a little oven in my...
We almost didn't record.
We almost didn't. Like, it was almost too much. But we waited till night times, and we have this fan, so I can't make it go away. I'll die. So today... we're going about things a little differently. This is Forensic First Month. I'm going to do the Forensic First case and then weave it in with how it is used later.
Because forensically, whenever it was first used, it wasn't used in an actual murder.
No, it was used in a crime. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. You'll see. This is all of it's wild. But this was later used to stop a serial killer in the making.
Neat.
In Boston, Massachusetts, on April 14th, 2009, Julissa Brisman was getting ready for work. She'd contacted her employer that her client had arrived early to the motel room for his erotic massage.
Ew, sorry.
After answering an ad on Craigslist. Yeah, no ooh to her at all.
No, I'm in a mood and whatever. Dudes are gross to me.
Because sex workers are sex workers. Workers, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry.
And let me go ahead and give a trigger warning on this case because it's later. Clearly, trigger warning for sex work. I don't know why that would bother you, but some people. And I'm not getting into all the victim blaming bullshit.
We're pro-ho.
Oh, I'm pro-ho.
We're pro-ho.
I'm a former ho, so...
Yes.
It would be hypocritical, but also for suicide. Keep that in mind. So, yeah, the way she had this set up is she had a booking agent who took care of her appointments for her massages, and then her clients would show up at a hotel room, and that's exactly what happened. The client arrived early and shot Julissa 3 times, killing her.
God.
The motive seemed to be robbery, but investigators feared they had a serial killer in the making on the loose. Julissa had been an aspiring model and actress and was an animal lover. She lived in New York City and traveled to Boston for the escort work. She had often expressed an interest in helping those with addiction issues because she struggled herself with a drinking problem. Her family knew that she attended parties where she was paid to stand around and look pretty and hand out drinks. They're party girls.
Yeah, totally.
I did that work in my way earlier youth. It's pretty fun, but it is kind of a highway to other sex work.
Right.
I mean, you're not stripping or anything like that at these parties, but
you're still paid to be sexy.
You're paid to be sexy, and a lot of those men become clients later. And yeah. There was a serial killer in the Boston area targeting sex workers from Craigslist. Other victims would emerge and confirm investigators' fears. Just 4 days earlier, Tricia Leffler, a 29-year-old sex worker, had met with a client on Craigslist, and this man bound and gagged her and robbed her at gunpoint. Around the same time, Cynthia Milton, an exotic dancer who offered up private dances on Craigslist, was also robbed at gunpoint by her client. Both Tricia Leffler and Cynthia were bound with the same plastic zip ties. So, what is Craigslist? Because I realize some of you may not know what it is because
we don't really use it now.
Well, after the Craigslist killer, it fell out of popularity, and many people may not know what it is. Craigslist was created in 1995 by Craig Newmark in San Francisco. It started as an email relay service, kind of mailing list that informed people about local events.
Right.
Craig was surprised at how quickly this email list grew and how people started using it to find jobs, sell items, and offer services when it had been originally intended to just inform about local events, especially about software engineering, because that's what he was, a software engineer. So in 1996, Craigslist.org went live. It became a website that was like a forum in structure or a message board where users could post anything for sale, advertise local events, hunt for jobs, and look for housing. It was also a place you could advertise for sex work. And there was like a loophole in this because you can post anonymously to Craigslist. And
I remember the section being there for
adult encounters, I think it was called, something like that. In 2016, it received 20 billion views per month worldwide.
Wow.
Most of the time, it is safe and easy to use because I have bought a bajillion things off Craigslist.
Yeah, it's kind of the place to go whenever you're selling furniture.
Or like, my window unit
so many things
went out. I need a new one. So you go to Craigslist.
Yeah. Now it's Facebook Marketplace, but back before Facebook Marketplace.
I still use Craigslist. I think it's better than Marketplace. Yeah. Just be careful. Just don't go to places by yourself. The sex work portion was unmoderated and not particularly safe. Because sex work is illegal in most of the United States, it means workers face unnecessary risks and dangers just doing their job.
God, I had a roommate once that would get booty calls off of Craigslist, and that was terrifying.
I used Craigslist for sex work while this was going on.
Terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Did I stop? No.
Well, yeah.
Gotta pay them bills.
That's right.
Yeah, but I did set up some safety practices after this case made national news.
Right.
So it's just so scary.
Yeah.
And the Craigslist killer took advantage of how dangerous it is for sex workers, obviously.
And how vulnerable they are.
Indeed. In addition to being shot 3 times, Jalissa had her skull caved in because she had fought her attacker. She had not been sexually assaulted, so investigators have very little to go on as far as motive was concerned. Like, the robbery almost seems like an afterthought or the taking of souvenirs.
Right.
They found 2 plastic zip ties on the floor of the hotel room, suggesting this was the same attacker as the previous 2 attacks on sex workers. It's just that he had escalated to murder instead of just robbery and assault. Jalissa had fought her attacker, but still no DNA evidence or fingerprints were collected at the scene. The only lead they had was CCTV footage of a man leaving the hotel at around the time of Jalissa's murder, and the footage was grainy at best. They could not identify the man in the footage. They had no clues until they found Jalissa's Craigslist account. Every killer leaves a trail: physical, forensic, and now digital. It would take cyber forensics to crack this case. The killer had clearly answered her ad. They would have to track his movements online somehow. So what is cyber forensics? It's the collection of evidence from digital devices that were used to commit a crime, basically. This case would not be the first time it was used, but it was the only way they were able to stop the Craigslist killer. And it's not just on devices, but rather the digital footprints we leave everywhere, from logging into Facebook, to ordering at your favorite restaurant online, to using your bank app. You leave a signature digitally wherever you go and whatever you do. And this is how they were going to try and catch the Craigslist killer. So where did cyber forensics get its start? In 1903, the new wireless telegraph was invented by Marconi. And I have covered this extensively on this podcast on Maris Mondays, also the source of the inspiration to the worst song ever made.
Oh, yeah.
We built this city.
I fucking hate that song.
What a shit song.
Why does it always come around full
It just
circle?
keeps coming back. I can't get rid of it in my life. Anyway, during the demonstration for this newfangled technology, a hacker disrupted it. Like the first hacker.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
No, that's nuts.
So the demonstration was Morse code, done wirelessly.
Okay, yeah.
That was amazing, right?
Right.
This guy hacked in and made it code for a dirty limerick.
I love that. It's like memes before memes. It's like
It's memes before memes.
It's like whenever we uncovered the like caveman drawings and like the dicks in Rome and stuff like that. Like it's
your
just
mother
like,
was here.
like
you know,
we've always been this way. We've never matured.
Marcus is a queer.
Yeah.
I sucked his dick. Yeah, that's all in Pompeian shit. Yeah.
That's so fucking funny. Oh my God.
There will always be people who see technology as a way to commit a crime or to get rich quick or to steal and lie or just be mischievous.
Everybody's mischievous at some point.
And the olden times were no exception.
That's right. Oh my God.
there were hints of what would become of cyber forensics during World War II. The Nazis used wireless telegraphs to send messages about future attacks and coordinate with generals. They used something called an Enigma machine to code these messages, and you couldn't decipher them unless you had the key. But Polish, American, and British military forces found a way to crack this code, and that literally changed the tides of war. It's why we won.
Wow.
But cyber forensics wouldn't be a thing until August of 1986 in Berkeley, California. An astronomer named Clifford Stoll runs the computers at Lawrence Berkley Lab. Clifford notices that there is an error in the accounting system. And basically, the way computers... This is so old. I remember this because I was around then, but you used to have to pay to use computers at schools.
Yeah.
And you had like a charge account.
Yeah, I forgot how that worked because
it would give you a timer, and then you would pay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you paid in advance, and that's how much time you had.
Get an hour, though.
Yeah, usually got an hour. Well, he noticed that there was an error in the accounting system, and there were multiple 5 and 10 cent charges that were unpaid, and the amount equaled 75 cents. Clifford, being the wet blanket nerd that he is, traced all these unpaid charges to one username, Hunter. Most people would just shrug and say, who the fuck cares about 75 cents? But not good old Clifford. He can't let that 75 cents go unpaid. So he does a more complete search and discovers that no student, not currently or ever, had used the username Hunter. So like a dog with a bone, Clifford then goes back and looks at log data.
A dog, Clifford.
That's exactly why I said it. Thank you for noticing.
Good job.
Indeed. It was a very subtle pun.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm good at that stuff. This will determine who is using the computer when. Again, digital footprints. He discovers that Hunter is getting into the system somehow. Hunter could be getting in on the over 50 unsecured phone lines in the building. Because remember, back then...
You got through the internet through the phone line.
Yes. And internet at the time wasn't the World Wide Web. It was like networks inside of buildings. They were very compartmentalized. They weren't all connected together, but all the computers in a building would be connected together.
Right.
And that's the case for the Berkeley Lab. So what he notices is that, hey, we have all these unsecured lines. That is how this person is getting in and using free internet time.
75 whole cents.
God.
Worth.
Calm down, Clifford. He does not calm down. And so what he did is so ridiculous. It is a Friday night. And he has put printers...
It's a Friday night. He has nothing else to do.
Oh, I'll get to that.
Okay, sorry.
And monitors at each one of the phone lines. Oh, yes. All 50 of them.
He rearranged?
He rearranged shit so that he could put printouts that whenever anybody logged on, it would print out all their information. This is a smart dude. Clifford's no joke.
Well, obviously he's smart, but...
And he waits for Hunter to access the system. And it's Friday night when that happens.
Oh.
Clifford, instead
Hunter
of...
also doesn't have anything else to do.
No. Clifford, instead of, I don't know, going out and touching grass or girls or boys, is literally in a sleeping bag with a vegetarian minestrone in a thermos. And that's his own words, by the way. I love this guy. He is waiting. Hunter is not only getting away with not paying 75 cents, but the printout tells Cliff that Hunter is hacking into administrative systems and slowly but surely gaining control of Berkeley's entire computer system.
Oh, shit.
There is a security weak point in the mainframe that the hacker exploited, which allowed him to access every computer that is on the Berkeley network.
Damn.
What Hunter had been doing was making himself what's called a super user. And that way he has all the admin privileges and can change his own data in the logs.
Okay.
He then would go back and erase his log and times so he couldn't be traced, but he'd missed a couple, which was how Clifford was able to catch him.
Oh, so it wasn't 75 cents. He had just missed 75 cents.
Exactly. Hunter
Good job,
could
Clifford.
absolutely wreak havoc with the control he had. He could change test results and systems, and medical students could then treat a patient incorrectly, and it could literally kill someone.
Yeah.
So Clifford went to his boss, who demanded that he disable the account so Hunter would be locked out of the system. But that was not good enough for Clifford. He wanted the hacker brought to justice. He left the security breach open so he could catch Hunter, find out who he was and what he was doing exactly. But he wanted to do all this without Hunter knowing that Clifford was onto him. So Clifford left the security breach alone, and the next time Hunter logged in, he traced his steps, his digital footprints. And it's much more than scamming free computer time or controlling Berkeley's computers. It's worse. Hunter is using the Berkeley computer system as a portal to the U.S. Army's database installation.
Hunter.
And that is not good, obviously. Once Clifford discovered this, he shit bricks, obviously.
Literally.
And it was that much deeper than just hacking a school's computer system. He called the FBI to report a computer crime. That is exactly what he called it.
Yeah.
This had literally never happened before.
Computer crime.
I mean, it had, but nobody reported it or knew what to do about it.
Yeah.
The FBI wanted to know how much money was suffered as a loss. Clifford told them 75 cents.
No,
Clifford! And they just totally misunderstood him. He was too techie at them. He was very, I'm a nerd. And they were like, you're a nerd. And they kind of like just said, go fuck yourself.
Wow.
He's like, no, you don't understand the secrets. But, whatever.
He needed to simplify it.
So what's really crazy is in the 80s, it was easy to hack into even the Pentagon's computer system. Because, okay, so when you know that back then they like to log onto a computer, it would say username and password.
Yeah.
You could type in guest and get in.
Yeah.
There was no computer security. None. Zero.
Wow.
Because most of these systems were closed. They're called closed systems, meaning you cannot get in from the outside unless you use a system like this hacker did to access a portal to get into other systems that are loosely connected. Because clearly the hacker thought that because the Berkeley Lab was connected to the United States database, that Berkeley Lab had government secrets too. See the thinking?
Yeah.
They didn't, and I'm not sure why they were connected. Who knows? So Hunter the hacker breaks into the server around noon almost every day. But Clifford thinks that most hackers work at night. I don't know why he thinks this, but he's not wrong. He's not getting any help from the FBI, who have absolutely no clue how to handle this. And since the perp only owed 75 cents, they didn't take it as seriously as they should have. That left Clifford alone to deal with what he thought was a matter of national security. And he was right. He believed a foreign hacker was responsible. He did a little research and discovered that it was nighttime in the communist Eastern Bloc of Europe. He was certain that was where the hacks were coming from. Now, this was back when the Berlin Wall was still up. This is during the Cold War, and Clifford believed enemy hackers were trying to get information on our missile systems, our nukes.
Wow.
And they were. So we're going back to 2009 now. After Julissa's murder, Boston detectives are hard at work trying to figure out who her killer was and if they had a serial killer on their hands. Boston at the time did not have a cyber forensics lab. This was going to make finding out who responded to Julissa's ad very difficult. When they linked the cases of Tricia Leffler and Julissa's murder, they pulled the CCTV from Tricia's hotel and found a pretty clear view of the suspect. They couldn't really see his face, but they could tell he had light hair. He was Caucasian, about how tall he was. But they couldn't see much more than that. And that's not really eliminating a lot of guys.
Right.
While processing the crime scene, investigators get a call from her appointment booker. They answer and talk to the guy and get an email address and phone number of her last client. The last client had used the name Andy M in the email. This call was a huge break. They trace the phone number and find that it's a burner phone. So that's no good. They don't have much more luck with the email. It was set up a day before the appointment was made with Julissa and only ever used to contact her through the ad on Craigslist. It was never used again after the murder. But hope was not lost. All computers in 2009 and today have something embedded in them called an Internet Protocol Address, or an IP address.
Oh, is that what that stands for?
Indeed.
Oh.
When you send emails, visit websites and the like, this is your digital footprint. Though the killer had tried to be clever and use a new email, and a burner phone, he had not found a way to hide his IP address or even realized that you could do such a thing. There are ways, of course, now. I'm not giving them to you.
Yeah.
IP addresses are unique to your computer because the nerds say so, and I believe them. And the killer's IP address was in the header information of his email to Jalissa. Investigators then perform what is known as an IP traceback. This will, ideally, lead them right to the killer's computer, and thus the killer. There is software that allows investigators to do this. It will map the location of the computer within miles, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
This works because IP addresses are grouped together by geographical areas. So IP addresses be similar.
Address.
It is literally an address for your computer,
Yeah.
geologically and everything else. Which I just geographically, I'm an idiot.
It's okay.
It's not about rocks. Goddamn. Investigators used this software and find that the computer that sent the email to Jalissa came from a community in Massachusetts called Quincy. Kind of an unlikely area. It's very suburban. A little more expensive.
I've heard of Quincy, Massachusetts.
Yes. In order to get closer, like an actual address, they will need a court order issued to the internet service provider because they have more information on the IP address. If they give them the IP address, the internet service provider can give an address. But you have to go through paperwork because, like, when you enter into a contract with your internet service provider, that is private between you and the service provider. It is part of our rights because people get really frustrated with cell phone companies and internet people who don't just give up the information. They legally can't. Our privacy is really important. You have to go through the right channels. But, I mean, they're running out of time because...
He's on the loose.
He could kill again at any moment. And while waiting on the internet service provider to respond to the subpoena on April 16th, just 2 days after Jalissa's murder, the killer strikes again. Ugh. Cynthia Melton advertised exotic dances on Craigslist. The killer responds to her ad. He tried to bind her wrists at gunpoint and tried to use a ball gag to silence her. What the killer didn't know is that Cynthia had arranged for her husband, who was also her business partner, and we love to see it, to call her for a safety check to make sure the date was going okay.
Right.
If she didn't answer, he'd know she was in trouble. When Cynthia failed to answer his call, the husband broke into the room and engaged the killer. He started just trying to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
The killer ran and Cynthia was saved. Naturally, investigators pulled the CCTV from the hotel. They noticed the suspect matches the other two security camera footages. Again, the footage is too grainy for him to be seen properly. Investigators are convinced he will strike again and soon. Finally, the internet service provider answers their subpoena, and they have an address at an apartment complex called High Point Circle in Quincy. However, when they began investigating further, they found that the person who lived at that address had no security on their Wi-Fi router. And what that means is literally anyone in that apartment building could have accessed the internet from that router.
So it could have been anybody in the building.
Could have been anybody in the building. Anyone.
Wow.
That means anyone could have logged in and used the Wi-Fi, so they had to prove it was the person who lived there that sent those emails to meet with those women. In order to determine that, cyber forensics had to be used.
I love this.
Well, it would have been used.
Right.
But this case is weird. We'll get to that. So back to Clifford. The FBI was no help, so he engaged some tech nerd friends to help him out. On another Friday night, Cliff was actually at a party with some friends, his nerd friends.
Oh, he partied.
He did party. I'm so proud of him.
Good for you, Cliffy.
Yeah, and man, when you guys see pictures of this guy, he's got like crazy hair. He looks like Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
Aww.
I love him.
He looks exactly how I pictured him.
Yes, but anyway, while he's chilling with his buds and they're playing D&D or some other nerdy shit, yeah, his pager goes off. Now, I got youngins listen to this podcast.
Oh, yeah, they don't know how pagers work.
A pager was like a little tiny box you wore on your belt.
Yeah.
And it would go beep, 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 beep.
Yep. And it had green backlighting and
LED
black,
screen.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Like the analog screen, or like
Yeah.
not analog, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, but you could call and you couldn't leave a voicemail. You could just call it and it would alert the person that you'd called. That was it.
Yep.
Because what he'd done with his pagers, he'd programmed his pager to go off whenever Hunter accessed the Berkley system.
Wow, he rigged up his own pager?
Yes, he's so smart.
What a nerd.
I know.
That's awesome.
So now Clifford and his tech bros, they're fucking on it.
Bros.
This is like a movie. I'm serious. It's so exciting.
It really needs to be a movie.
Clifford and his friends trace the signal to the University of Bremen in West Germany.
Wow.
Using IP addresses.
Yeah.
But they still can't get the exact location. So they contact German authorities. And the German authorities were able to trace Hunter's movements to Hanover and West Germany. Before they can close in on the hacker, however, Hunter disconnected from the server, ruining the trace. The hackers weren't staying on long enough to do a proper trace on their location because back then, tracing things like that were literally done manually at a switchboard with cables. Like each number is pulled as they match, and then it narrows it down to a specific location. But because he wasn't staying on long enough, it was impossible to track him.
It's almost like whenever they traced calls back then, you had to stay on the line long enough.
So Cliff was going to have to figure out how to keep the hackers online longer so that German authorities could track the location. Clifford got a brilliant idea while taking a shower. And I relate to this so hard.
Just shower thoughts.
I get all my best ideas in the shower or bath. And what about y'all? Like, y'all have some shower thoughts? I want to hear them. Get on Discord and tell me your weird shower thoughts. Because mine are a mix of, like, absolute brilliance and batshit.
I always solve my problems in the shower.
I solve a lot of my problems in the shower. Or I cry in there when I can't solve them, so win-win. So Cliff was going to create his own database with top secret material. It would be a really large database, so the hacker would have to stay online for a long time to get all the information. Basically, a honeypot. And you may be going, Lillian, what is a honeypot other than a hot of honey?
Honeypot.
I couldn't say that right. We're just going to skip on past it. Basically what it is some sort of enticement or bait for a criminal, and it usually takes place online. So that's how they catch a lot of child sex predators. They create honeypots. It'll be like an FBI agent posing as a 13-year-old girl, for example. And that's called a honeypot. They'll post something crazy illegal on Reddit and then have people respond in private messages, and they go after those people. Is it nice to do? No.
But it gets them off the streets.
It sure does. It's a little...
I don't condone lying. I don't think lying is good, but I also don't think pedophilia is good. So I'm pretty sure
I'm
that's
a little
lying.
on it just because it has been used against innocent people before.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not talking about pedophilia honeypots. I'm talking about other ones that are a little not as nice.
Like drug related.
Very much so. So Cliff is going to make a trap, and he calls this Operation Showerhead.
I love you, Cliff.
He's so...
Clifford, you are wholesome.
He is wholesome.
Clifford, you're so smart.
It's very silly, but very cool. Again, this should be a movie, and it should be called Operation Showerhead. Cliff makes a bunch of these fake memos and files to go in this database. It's tempting, top secret looking stuff. He knows that Hunter is really into anything regarding our Star Wars program, which is a missile defense system in space.
Star Wars.
Yeah, where we shoot down nukes that, because they go up into space.
Of course, that's what he's wondering about because he's in Germany at this time, so that would make a lot of sense.
It does, and when you find, this gets even more serious. Like Clifford is a hero.
Clifford, you're so smart.
Yeah, so he just forges all these documents and puts them inside the Berkley network. It's a lucky guess on Cliff's part. He thinks the hackers have no idea that the lab at Berkeley is not involved in military work. He thinks that that's what they believe, so this is a big gamble. Clifford waited to see if the hacker would take the bait, and after about a week, he went for it. It took a long time back then to download anything. There was a lot of fake top secret documents to download. He had created fake generals, a fake town, thousands of documents that he forged.
Wow.
All on his own to catch this guy. I know, right? German authorities were then able to trace the hacker to an apartment in Hanover, West Germany. Clifford then calls the FBI again, and now he has all this information. He has the hacker's name, he has their address, he has the files that they went after, and now the FBI is like, bet. And they get in touch with Interpol. On June 29th, 1987, West German police raid the apartment and arrest the hacker Marcus Hess. He was a man in his 20s. He ran a group called the Chaos Computer Club. Sounds like a bunch of nerds. The club, though, was part of a communist hacker ring that sold classified U.S. military documents to the KGB, which is the Russian secret police.
Man.
And those were our enemies in the 80s,
That would have
y'all.
been so cool if they got flooded with fake papers and they were like, yeah, we're on this. Like, you know?
No. I just love it.
Yeah.
So when Marcus Hess went to trial, Clifford flew all the way to West Germany to testify.
I love it.
And it was the first time cyber forensics were ever used. Some of the techniques that were used would then go on to be used in the Craigslist killer case.
I love that.
Marcus Hess was found guilty of espionage and sentenced to 20 months in prison. Clifford Stoll ushered in the age of computer security and cyber forensics just because he couldn't let that 75 cents go.
I fucking love that.
Me too.
I love that so much.
So back to our Craigslist killer case.
So essentially, though, Clifford helped save a lot of women on Craigslist.
Yes.
Good job, Clifford.
Not only that.
Not only that, but tens of people before
He
and
helped
after.
end like some really bad hacking and computer viruses. He helped everyone get on board with cybersecurity for their computers, like firewalls and stuff
Probably
like
helped
that.
start those companies.
He did not, but like his ideas, vicariously,
Sure, was the catalyst.
yeah. And he is so fun to watch in interviews. I really recommend you watch him
I
talk.
will.
He's
I
just
love
a
Clifford
gem.
now.
He's a gem.
Yeah.
So detectives have used similar methods Clifford Stoll and the West German authorities used to track down Philip Markoff. They just have to prove it was him and not someone else using his unsecured Wi-Fi. Philip, a med student, looks a lot like the CCTV footage, but that is still not enough. They need to link him to the computer that sent the emails. As they're watching Philip, they notice that he and his fiancée are packing their car with suitcases. It looks like they're about to leave town. The last attack didn't go well for the Craigslist killer, and it's clear that he's like afraid he's going to get caught.
Yeah.
They cannot let him go, but bringing him in on just circumstantial evidence is risky.
It would scare him away.
It would. It is not a fun gamble. But they went ahead and pulled him over as he was on his way out of town and detained him. They brought him back to headquarters to question him, and the interview goes bad.
As expected.
Philip Markoff does not admit to anything. In fact, he's a real cunt.
Yeah.
But while they're questioning him, they sent his picture via fax to the police headquarters that Trisha Leffler was in her area, and they showed it to her, and she picked him out of a photo lineup.
Oh, good.
Now they have enough to arrest him.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, they're preparing their case.
Right.
And they get a warrant for his apartment. Inside his apartment, in a copy of Gray's Anatomy textbook, he had cut out the pages and stashed the gun he'd used to kill Jalissa and to rob the other women. They found the ball gag, the zip ties, like the shoes he'd worn in the CCTV, the hat he'd worn. It was an orgy of evidence. Investigators had never seen so much evidence at once in one place.
Good.
So Philip Markoff is then held without bail awaiting trial. He's in there for a while. He attempts suicide once when his fiancée breaks up with him. He attempts suicide again on the day that was supposed to be their wedding date. Wow. And finally, unable to face justice, Philip killed himself in prison. He'd gotten a hold of a plastic bag, which he placed over his head, and he had come about a sharp implement. They weren't specific, and he sliced his wrists. But at least he couldn't hurt anybody else.
Right.
But what I find so fascinating is you can just look at how things all link together, especially when we're talking about science and the discovery of things.
Right.
Like without IP trace, they would have never found him.
Without that guy trying to hack in Berkley computers. Had he tried anywhere
in 1986.
Else, yes. Had he tried anywhere else,
we would have never caught Philip Markoff, and he would have killed more women.
Exactly.
hated women.
It's that weird domino effect.
Yeah. And if you notice, I didn't go much into his background or even the victims because it's really more about the methodology of how they caught him.
Right.
And less about, I mean, I'm going to cover the Craigslist killer again.
Oh, okay.
But it's just not today.
Gotcha.
Because I want to give more space to the victims and I want to talk more about, he's a fascinating person, Philip Markoff.
Okay.
Just to me. I mean, you know, I find some of these killers really interesting.
Yeah.
Because usually when you get a serial killer, there's usually sexual assault involved.
Yeah.
And this time that was not the motivation. But he did have a deep hatred of women.
Did he just hate his mom? Was his mom a bitch?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't fully researched it, but
It's just weird that he hated women so much that he fixated on killing them one after the other, but also was so in love with a woman
he really was.
Died for her.
Yes, he did.
That's, it's a very strange...
Because it was almost the anniversary of
there.
when they were supposed to get married, like the year anniversary is when he died. He was a really very sick man.
Sounds
like his
it.
internet searches were creepy deepy. I won't get into him, but he was just into just death and violence.
Yeah.
He just wanted to humiliate them in particular. And I just think he hated sex workers,
Right.
obviously.
I wonder if his mother was one.
I don't know, because again, I just looked up how they solved it, not so much about him.
Right.
I'll probably cover this on Patreon after my Scott Peterson case, which will be up this weekend, come hell or high water. Y'all, I have read so many books. I have researched this for almost 2 months.
Yeah.
And I am tired. But it's one of those, it's such a famous case. I don't want to get any of the details wrong.
Right.
You know, and I want to do Lacey justice because I really feel like Scott's family is trying to paint her in a not nice light, especially trying to paint her family in an ugly light. And they've been through so much because of that scumbag. And I don't know, it's just one of those things where I feel like an immense amount of gravitas and pressure to do right. And I'm probably putting too much pressure on myself. I'm a bit of a perfectionist.
A bit.
But you know what's not perfect? Business time. Ooh.
Your transitions.
It's not any good. I can't. I just don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like, here I'm shilling for myself. Listen, I don't know. But, hey, you know what? I'm running a contest right now. That's right.
Yep.
It's a good one. So if you become a patron in the month of July or August,
$5 patron and up.
5 and up, you are entered to win a huge gift package of everything that me and Maris make together. I'll do a reading for you. Maris will do you a star chart. I will include some soap. You'll get some perfume. You'll get some candles. It's going to be like at least $200 worth of stuff. So it is worth entering. You don't even have to pay shipping. I got you. Probably. No, I do, for real. So, yeah, you don't need to do anything other than become a patron. We will go through and pick the names because they're obviously on our list on Patreon. And then you will be informed on September 1st. Speaking of September, it's my birthday month. I have I'm September 3rd, a Virgo, obviously the best sign in the universe, the most right person that ever lived.
Most serial killers are Virgos.
We get real fed up with y'all's bullshit, that's why. It's a Virgo that knew a Scorpio, you see.
Scorpio, you see.
Y'all ain't hoes.
No, we're not.
Y'all ain't
We're
hoes at
super
all.
monogamous.
I have never met a Scorpio that was a thought.
No, but we dress like one sometimes, most time.
You dress a little thoughty, but you ain't.
Nope.
Virgos, on the other hand,
not
we're very
dress
modest,
thoughty.
but we are whores.
Whores.
And we do it right. They say the best lover you'll ever have will be a Virgo. If it's a woman, okay? Okay, let's get that straight. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, it's my birthday. And on August 9th, it's me and Maris's 10-year anniversary. We have been together for a decade. We are still very in love. And if you want to send us some love, I'll have all my information in the comments. We would appreciate it. I want to go out to dinner. We have never done anything for our anniversary since we've been married. We didn't even have a wedding. So this year I would like to go out to dinner. We made it 10 years and I didn't kill him. It's a miracle. Also, join our Discord. Why am I begging? Get in there.
Yeah.
Come talk to us. It's fun. So, yeah. Oh, we have merch. I have not mentioned our merch in like 100 years, but we have t-shirts and mugs and stickers and all that stuff. If you want to see what the t-shirts look like on a human being, go to our Facebook. One of our more recent posts
And
I posted,
Instagram,
Maris.
we have an entire highlight section of
fans.
Us wearing the merch.
Yes, so go there and look at great quality
And
stuff.
if you buy the merch, which y'all, I know a lot of you have this week, because you told us, but
Yes.
you got to send us those pictures.
Don't
of you
be
wearing
scared.
The merch
I want to see you in
so
it.
we can post it on our Instagram.
We'll see your pretty face.
I want us all be wearing it.
I don't
need
want
a t-shirt.
and I don't want you sitting there thinking I'm not cute enough. Yes, you are.
You are.
You listen to this podcast. You got to be
You're
cute.
adorable.
You're gorgeous. Shut up. Don't make me fight you.
You know what? If you don't think you're pretty and you're cute merch, then send us a picture and
Let me be the judge.
Yeah, I'll prove you wrong.
I'm judgy as fuck. But I guarantee you're beautiful. Don't worry about it. Our Patreon is amazing. We put out a lot of content because we're insane and we like working too hard. We put out 3 to 4 bonus episodes every month. We have something called And That's the Tea. It's kind of post-episode discussion, whatever we feel like, unscripted, off the cuff, usually pretty funny, always interesting.
Very bantery. Sometimes we have things planned for the additional $1 tier. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just get on the microphone and we're like, hey, bitches, what's up? And that's just how it is. But you get to know us a little bit better, and I really like that tier a lot.
It's one of my favorite things to do for this podcast. It is super fun.
Yeah.
And so go check out our Patreon. Remember that contest. You're going to want to be a patron this month because we have so many good things coming. What's your next Patreon case about?
Oh, girl, I don't have a title for it, but it's just a story that grabbed me. There's this story about this mother who solved her daughter's murder case and several other people's cases because the FBI, the local police wouldn't pick it up. So this mother traveled around the country going from person to person who, was related to either the killer or one of their victims. She even ended up going to one of the abandoned houses that the killer was in and like crawled through a broken window.
Whoa.
And like pulled out murder weapons. Like this mama went to the end of the world for her child, got the killer convicted, and is just a badass. So I have to cover that story next on Patreon because it's just so
That's
fucking
amazing.
Brilliant.
I'm here for it.
I am inspired. I wish I could be that kind of a mother someday. Not that I want that to happen, but you know what I mean. Like, that's
you want to
a badass
show up
bitch.
for your kids.
That's a badass,
no
mama.
matter what. Yeah, that is a badass. I love that. Can't wait to hear that episode.
Yeah.
And y'all, that's this month. So get in our Patreon so you don't miss it.
Yeah, and the Patreon members run this podcast.
Absolutely.
It is because of them that we are doing this month's theme. Like, they choose the month's themes now. If
We take
there's-
all their case suggestions
Yes.
first before anyone else's, although we always love case suggestions, so
Yep.
keep those coming.
There's a section in our Discord for case suggestions if you guys ever want to throw something at us.
Yeah, that's one reason to get in there, show pictures of your pets,
Yep.
the art you make, just want to shoot the shit.
Or if
We have a
you're
vent channel too. Are you having a bad day? Come tell us about it.
Or like sometimes we'll forget a word. I forgot what. last episode we talked about Dexter and we couldn't figure out something, and so everybody was in the case discussion.
Yes, I
talking
love
about-
that because
Yes.
then
Yes.
immediate feedback.
Because then you can talk about it while you're listening to the episode too. You can kind of talk to us while you're listening to us. It's fun.
It's so fun. I really enjoy our Discord.
Yeah.
Are you a small business owner? And would you like to
Yes.
sponsor this podcast? It's not about money, so don't worry.
I don't know
have
if
to
you
pay me.
noticed, but we're a small business as well, and we do not have sponsors. We are not sponsored by Purple Mattress or anything like that. We are
Not
actually,
yet.
Oh yeah, we're sponsored by small businesses because we're a small business as well.
And we got to help each other.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So if you are a small business person and that means you make it with your own little sweet baby hands,
Or if you know someone who does.
or if you know someone who does, get in touch. All you got to do is email us. All of our contact information is in our link tree. And finally, I am still reading the cards. I'm still reading tarot. I have almost 30 years experience.
There's been a lot of people in Discord after readings talking about their readings.
Yes.
And that's really exciting to see.
Yeah, I've been really accurate lately. I take it very seriously. I credit it to just like I almost treat it like not religion really, but like I will meditate beforehand.
Yeah,
I cleanse my space.
Yeah.
When I sit down to do readings, that is all I will do for like a couple hours a night. So if you want one, and I mean, we can do several different kinds of readings. Just get in touch with me. We'll work something out and it'll be very fun. But other than that, if all you can do to support this podcast is listen, please know we
Seriously.
appreciate you so much. And, you know, we got a lot of new listeners. And so I want to say welcome and that I appreciate you also.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for
Yes.
sharing. Anytime y'all see, you know, people asking for podcast recommendations.
We see you on Reddit.
Yeah, we see you on Reddit. I'm sure there's a lot of like Facebook groups that we're not in.
There's some we miss, obviously, because we can't be everywhere. But
Right,
yeah.
and we're not on Twitter anymore, really. But
Ew, no.
anytime I see podcast recommendations popping up on an app, and I see y'all mention us, I blush.
Oh, I'm so pumped. I'm
I
just
blush
like,
real big, and I'm thankful. Thank you.
I am thankful too, and I really appreciate y'all.
And if you guys have a second, we are running another contest for 5-star reviews. If you like us and you want to give us a 5-star review, go ahead and do that, and we will enter you into a contest. Just send us a screenshot. If you don't want to give us a 5-star review, email us because we are humble. Like we'll listen to your criticism.
That's right.
Absolutely.
But
we appreciate
But negative
guys.
reviews really do hurt the podcast at an early
Seriously,
stage.
it really does.
Yes.
And like, if you want to see some change, don't go in there and be, you know, on the.
I can't
on the
do
reviews.
anything then.
Yeah.
You know, it's already done.
Like early on when we were really small and we had duct tape microphones and we didn't
Our
know what we were
audio
doing,
was not great.
Someone said
Yeah.
that our audio was bad. Well, it was, and we upgraded, but we still have that 1-star review
That lasts forever.
That can change our rating.
Yeah.
So again, we will always try
Man,
to
I
work
think,
hard
and
to
we
be
got that
better.
review after we'd been out like 2 months.
I know.
It was so sad.
I know. It sucks, but you know.
And look, Will was learning too that the person who produces our podcast is my eldest child.
Yes.
Will. And they
They're in
had a lot to
college.
learn.
They are, yeah.
They work full time, but Will has become a great producer. I think our
Right.
sound is amazing, and Will's self-taught all this
Well,
stuff.
I mean, there's so many podcasts that start without knowing anything. And we're one
And
of
for
them.
those of you who have stuck with us since the beginning, even when
Seriously,
our audio was a
guys.
little janky, we appreciate that so much.
MVPs. We have some people that have been clinging on to our episodes since day one. We have day ones.
Yeah, in the
And
Discord, and I am
really
just so
appreciate y'all.
grateful. Yes, thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Us on your social media platform of choice. Linktree/cruelty has all of the links. Check out our Patreon for exclusive episodes, merch, ad-free episodes, live ghost hunts, and much more. Please be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded weekly. Thank you so much. See you next time. Music and production by Libby.